Neil Peart built one of the largest drum kits in rock history. Rotating racks, walls of toms, electronic triggers. It looked less like a drum set and more like an architectural installation. Now, fast forward to the upcoming Rush reunion. Anika Nilles plays on a compact modern setup, smaller footprint, fewer toms, cleaner geometry. And here's a question that a lot of my channel viewers have been asking. Does Anika Nilles need a bigger drum set to play Rush songs? Was the size of Neil Peart's kit the point of his playing or just an aspect of his playing? Well, we're going to talk about that right here and talk about something a little bit deeper, which is musical imagination. So let's be honest about what people mean when they say that Anika Nilles might not have enough drums to pull off Rush's catalog. They don't mean skill, they mean visual and sonic expectation, because Neil Peart became synonymous with a kind of scale. His kit wasn't just functional, it was symbolic. It told the audience that his music was ambitious and orchestrated and progressive. But Neil Peart's genius was not necessarily in the kit or the number of drums, but in the way that he thought about rhythm. So Anika Nilles represents something very modern in drumming, which is economy, precision. Her playing style relies less on sprawl and more on internal phrasing. She doesn't use more drums, basically she uses more ideas. But this is where she really connects with Peart, because if there was ever a drummer who was building his parts on ideas, it was Neil Peart. Anyway, the debate about drums is important, and to gain some perspective on it and the use of big and small drum kits, I'd like you to listen to something that Ringo Starr had to say about the size of drum kit. Here's Ringo Starr.
Traditional jazz band from New Orleans. He played the cabin, and his drummer, whose name I don't know, came on with a hi-hat, a cymbal, a snare drum, and a bass drum. And so whenever the toms were needed, he would go like, say it with a when the sing, go marching in, and he'd go. He'd do all the tom-tom work on the bass. And it was like, yeah, you don't need 100 drums.
What he's saying there is that if you have enough imagination and you apply yourself, it's not necessarily about the number of drums that you have. It's about the kind of rhythms and tones and surfaces that you can use to play with and on. Ringo isn't talking about compensating for something that you don't have. He's talking about using what you have 100%. So Neil Peart absolutely used the size of his kit creatively. But the kit wasn't the source of his ideas, it was the canvas. His genius was for composition. He wrote drum parts like symphonic passages, and he connected his drumming to his lyrics. Another drummer approaches Rush with fewer drums and a different layout. The question becomes, are they reducing the music before they start, or are they kind of reinterpreting the orchestration? When fans ask if Anika has enough drums, what they're really asking is, will it still feel like Rush? And feel is a complicated term because Rush isn't just rhythm, it's legacy. It's what we saw on the arena stages for decades. Even if Anika sounds the same, there might be a shock in terms of what the spectacle of Rush looks like. But maybe the deeper legacy is this. Great drummers don't depend on spectacle, they depend on how they think. Does Anika Nilles need a bigger kit? Can imagination replace architecture, or does Rush even demand replication? I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think the size of Anika's drum kit will matter in the upcoming Rush reunion tour? Let me know in the comments below. MusicGuru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.